That's correct. Yes, the additional charges have been lodged with another indictment that includes an employee as well as former President Trump.
How strong is this case becoming? Now, this is the case of where he removed highly classified documents from the White House.
Well, this would certainly, this superseding indictment is what it's called, would certainly bolster the case. I surmise that what the government's trying to do is to charge additional individuals who may have been involved, who are on the periphery, and possibly reach some type of a plea agreement and have them testify against former President Trump when they get to trial.
He's, though, funding their legal case, is he not?
It certainly would, bolster the legal case because once again, if former President Trump had directed this individual to take some action, that would be very damaging. It also is being used. President Trump has been quite vocal about his defense, and so I think the prosecutor is trying to poke holes in that defense by bringing this additional individual into the case.
Yeah. That is how Donald Trump deals with all his legal problems, claiming his innocence, claiming he's just a political target. He says he's on the verge of further indictments. Now, this is around his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. How serious could these charges be for him?
Well, all of them are fairly serious. He's looking at two additional cases against him. The first, and that could happen anytime in the near future, would be his actions to incite the crowd, if you will, to attack the U.S. Capitol so that the election results could not be affirmed. And that would be a federal case from the special prosecutor. And then later, probably at the early September, he's looking at one other case in the state of Georgia here in the U.S., where, again, he tried to impact that state's vote for the presidential election, and there's a grand jury sitting on that. So he's got two indictments currently, and he's probably looking at two additional and separate indictments as well.
How are all these legal problems going to hinder his run to become the Republican nomination? And he is streets ahead of all his other opponents in terms of that poll.
I wish I had that answer for you because it is truly unprecedented. We've never seen anything like it here in the U.S. It's, as often happens with Mr. Trump, there's a very unique events occur. But it falls, our presidential election will occur in November of 2024. Most of these cases, if charged now, would come, the trials would occur in early 2024, right in the midst of our presidential elections, which the election period lasts for probably, it gets serious in January and goes for 10 or 11 months. So it has to have some type of an impact. And also financially, I mean, it's got to be a significant drain to have this many lawyers on your payroll and draining funds.
And Michael, to that point, he's asked one of his political PACs for tens of millions of dollars, which they are now providing. Is that not against the principle of these PACs to be, providing funds to a candidate like this for legal fees?
That also is a fairly rare experience for the most part. Sometimes legal fees may be incurred if there's a challenge to the ballot or if there's some issues in a particular state, but I've never seen it be used, for legal defense funds in criminal cases. So again, treading new ground, which is not as ordinary with our former president.
That's right. It is just, rules according to Trump. But let's talk a little bit about Hunter Biden because he stays in the frame. He's a big target for the Republican Party, and a plea deal that I think President Biden had hoped that would take this out of play fell apart last week. Explain to us what happened.
Well, generally speaking, when you reach a plea agreement, and you go before the judge to, finalize it. And it's an open court, so it's a very public event. It's very pro forma in the sense it's been agreed to in advance. The subject goes in, pleads guilty, and the judge accepts the plea. He'll walk the subject, in this case Hunter Biden, through certain questions. Is he of sound mind? And does he agree to this? And in this case, I have never seen, I was in the FBI for 23 years, and I've been through dozens and dozens of plea agreements and court hearings. And I have never seen anything like this, where they ended up in court. The judge asked some very simple questions, and the government felt that they could continue to investigate and possibly charge Hunter Biden with additional criminal acts. And the defense objected to that, and so they withdrew their plea agreement and their guilty plea. And now we're back to square zero to see just how this is going to be resolved. Once again, we've had a volatile number of years here in the U.S., and I've never seen anything like this.
That is quite extraordinary. And it was a Trump-appointed judge. Do you think there was any political interference, or was it just that the prosecutors saw an opening?
I believe that the judge made inquiries that some of the pleadings that were before her were out of the ordinary. And so she just wanted to, as she is supposed to do, drill down to see just what was in these pleadings. And she asked some very basic questions, and that's where the wheels pretty much fell off. And as far as I have great faith in our judicial system here in the U.S. And I don't think that who appointed that judge had any impact there, because they have lifetime appointments, and so the judges are fairly immune from the political pressure.
Yeah, which is good to hear, at least. Do you think this will remain a problem for President Biden? Is there something to see with Hunter Biden? Does it in any way compare to President Trump, which so many on the right like to point to, that that Biden should be in jail and is just as bad?
Yeah, it's still in the preliminary stages. There's hearings before our Congress. We had an individual, Hunter Biden's business partner, was before Congress, and that will come out. It was behind closed doors, but the transcript will come out, where he stated, quite frankly, that Vice President Biden at the time had engaged in conversations with some of Hunter Biden's business partners, which the Vice President has denied vehemently in the past. So I expect that the government, if Hunter Biden does not end up pleading guilty, that they will look to bring additional charges. For example, the Foreign Agents Registration Act is on the table. Money laundering is also a possibility, where he used many kind of shell companies to hide the proceeds. So it's going to be a really interesting time to see how this plays out, and to see how both the Department of Justice and the FBI handle this hot potato, which is the Hunter Biden case.
I'm sure you're really grateful you're not at the FBI anymore, Michael. You'd be...
I know the director, and it's a tough position he's in. And
yeah,
he's handling it fairly well.
Yeah, I think all those officials are really in very unenviable positions. Great to have you on, as always. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Thank you, Beth. Take care.
You too.